It's a special pleasure for me to introduce this year's keynote speaker, the National Endowment of the Arts Chairman, Jane Chu. Jane comes from my home state of Missouri, where prior to being appointed by President Obama, she was the CEO of the Kaufman Center for the Performing Arts. Now, I spend a lot of time trying to convince the New Yorkers on my board about all the quality arts that exist in Kansas City, my hometown, but if anyone has any doubt, just go visit the Kaufman Center and you will see a world-class operation. Jane received her bachelor's degree in piano performance and music education, as well as a master's degree in music and piano. She has a PhD in philanthropic studies from Indiana University and also an honorary doctorate in music from the University of Missouri in Kansas City. As you will soon hear, music has always been a part of Jane's life, and now she has the honor of running the agency whose mission is to fund, promote, and strengthen the creative capacity of America. Jane has been an incredibly unifying leader for the arts. It wasn't that long ago, just a few years ago, where there were calls to eliminate the National Endowment of the Arts. Fast forward to today, and because of Jane's vision and her leadership, she was introduced at her confirmation hearing by both the Republican and Democratic senators from her home state, and then confirmed unanimously by the United States Senate. It is my honor to welcome my friend, Jane Chu.
Thank you so much. Thank you, David. And I want to thank you and the National Music Publishers Association for understanding how valuable creativity is when it comes to the opportunities and the issues related to songwriters and music publishers. There is a cultural ecosystem filled with organizations and systems that support the arts and the creative process, and the National Music Publishers Association and the National Endowment for the Arts both play a role in making the creative sector vibrant, and we are so appreciative of the work that you are doing. I also want to congratulate Billy Joel and thank Leanne Rimes for also being here. And I want to congratulate Billy Joel on his much-deserved achievement. I've had many staff members at the National Endowment for the Arts volunteer to staff me on this trip so that they might have a chance to meet him. And it's just one more testament to the enormous number of lives Billy Joel and Leanne Rimes also have touched through the years. It's so wonderful to be here today. Music has been a significant part of my own life. I did major in music in college, and I lived to be able to perform in my high school band and wind ensembles. It was my social life. It was my illustration of academic achievement. I attended music camps every summer from the 4th grade through the end of high school, and it was my greatest form of self-expression, far greater than the use of linear everyday words. But my own story with music doesn't begin with myself, but it begins with my parents. My mom and dad were from China. My dad came to America in 1948 to get his PhD, and when the government changed to communism and he was in the United States here in school, he knew he would not be able to return to his home country, so he remade his life here in the United States. My mother was a teenager during the change of the government in 1949, and she was in China, but her parents made a bold decision to sneak her out of China so she could have her freedom to be herself. So she just graduated from high school. She was at the age where she could do anything she wanted with her life, and so they put her on a train by herself with no ticket, a train that would take her 8 days to get out to Hong Kong, and she didn't carry any suitcases because she didn't want to look conspicuous. So she wore 8 pairs of underwear, one over the other. She put her money in her underwear, and they said goodbye to each other, not knowing if they'd ever see each other again, which they never did. And so she got on the train, and over the 8 days, she escaped 141 interrogations. She ultimately attended college in the United States and met my father, remade her life here. I, on the other hand, was born in Oklahoma, and I grew up in Arkansas, 11,000 miles away from the beautiful country of China, and equally as far away from the traditional Chinese way of life. And I juggled living in 2 opposite cultures simultaneously. My parents wanted me to assimilate so that I would fit in school. So they spoke Mandarin to each other at home, but I spoke English at school. And they liked to eat bok choy and noodles, and I liked to eat mashed potatoes and corn dogs. And my parents were not opposed to the arts, but they didn't place a lot of emphasis on them either, other than making me take piano lessons. But when I was 9 and my father died of cancer, Many 9-year-olds lack the vocabulary to articulate their grief over the loss of a parent, and this was doubly compounded for me, since Mandarin had been my parents' native language but not mine. But when I played the piano, I found an avenue to express myself. Music had the ability to soothe me, although I felt as if I had one foot in each of my cultures, which seemed so different from each other. Music gave me a world that was fully my own, and I felt as though I belonged. And so for each of us who love the arts, we can help people find those points of connection so that others might discover that their own story, and they might find out where they belong, and we can remind people of this avenue of expression to ignite their own creativity, to heal a heart full of grief, to knit together the disparate pieces of their own selves. The arts are an essential part of our everyday lives, and they're constantly at work fostering value and connections and creativity and innovation. The National Endowment for the Arts does this by awarding thousands of grants every year and by partnering with states and regional arts organizations and other federal agencies, and by funding programs in arts education and community development and science and technology. All of these programs across all artistic disciplines, we provide millions of people with the opportunity to be touched by the power of the arts. And your support of creating and publishing music plays a very important role in this cultural ecosystem. Look at the whole arts environment, all the moving pieces and parts that are involved, audiences, nonprofits, for-profits, government, entities, festivals, etc. Look how they all relate to each other and where they're different and where they overlap. The parts and the pieces that involve individuals and organizations and processes, how they connect the arts to each other, how they connect the arts to other areas that are seemingly less related to the arts. But at the very heart of this system are the artists themselves and the work they create. The songwriters whose music that you and music publishers help share. We would not have orchestras without composers. We wouldn't know their compositions without music publishers. We wouldn't have museums without painters. We wouldn't have concert venues without singers and songwriters. Each of us has that basic drive to create and express ourselves. And this drive might manifest itself into creating something that's never been done before. Or it may build upon something that someone else has done, and then they take it to another level. But every aspect of our cultural ecosystem flows from that process of creativity and the expression of ideas. And every individual and community benefits from this creative expression. So when we experience emotion when listening to a piece of music, whether it's anger or joy or anything in between, we have the possibility of being changed. Sometimes it might be a momentary change, such as when an upbeat song breaks a sour mood. But over time, these changes can be even transformative. For example, music can help us realize that we're not alone in our feelings and experiences, and it can be a comfort when the world seems without hope. It can facilitate or enhance a feeling of spirituality and lead to a sense of deeper connection. It can spark our own creativity and encourage us to let our imaginations run in new directions. It can change the way we relate to one another. 81% of all outdoor arts festivals have a music component, which speaks to music's ability to draw people together and instill a sense of community and belonging. And music can also help us learn about the rhythms of other cultures and ways of life, allowing us to better relate to one another. And what about economics? In 2012, the arts and cultural sectors, that's all of us together, contributed more than $698 billion to the United States economy, 4.32% of the United States GDP, and you can think of all the ways musicians contribute to this figure, both directly and indirectly, from studio rentals and MP3 purchases, concert tickets, chartered tour buses, salaried managers, not to mention the spillover benefits when patrons attend a concert and eat in restaurants and get a drink and stay in hotels, visit as tourists. So artists are not off in a corner by themselves. They have a ripple effect on audiences, communities, industries such as tourism and management, and of course to organizations like the National Music Publishers Association and the NEA. So clearly, the artist spawns an ecosystem where each of us has a role, and we are stronger when we understand that. We can help all Americans understand that everyone has the ability to have an aha moment when they're touched by the full power of the arts. And this might occur when listening to a favorite album, or singing in a choir, or playing the piano as a child in Arkansas. Our inner artist is awakened in our own ways, and each of us has a different story to tell. Now, at the National Endowment for the Arts, we're getting ready to celebrate our 50th anniversary on September 29th, and we're already starting to collect stories from across the nation about how the arts have made an impact on the lives of each or all Americans. And we'd love to hear about their aha moments when the arts have spoken to them, when they've felt this cultural ecosystem at work in a positive way, or simply about what the arts mean to them. And it would be great to have your stories about how the arts have made an impact on your life. So please consider sending in your stories so that this country can fully understand the power of music, the power of the arts. And it's very easy to submit a story. Go to the NEA website, and that's arts.gov, and click on the box at the top of the page that says, "Help us celebrate our 50th anniversary," and from there it can take you to a place on the website where you can upload photos or a video, or just write up your thoughts and hit submit. I want to thank you for all that you do to fill our lives with music, and thank you for helping us make the case for why the arts matter. Thank you for letting me join you today.